Hey guys, so today we are going to make a very challenging cake. It might seem like your traditional carrot cake, but actually it had its own twist, so the cake could be very delicious and very complex. So let's make it with me. First, we are going to make the carrot cake batter. In a mixing bowl with the powder attachment, I'm gonna mix the butter until it's combined with the sugar, scrape down from the side and just continue beating until everything is combined. Alongside with that, I'm gonna slowly adding my egg. All of my ingredients today are at room temperature. You need to put everything at the same temperature, otherwise it will separate if you add it in a different temperature. Put the mixer on slow speed and I'm just gonna slowly adding the oil and just keep beating until the butter turn a little bit pale like this. The butter now actually has been double in size and I'm just gonna adding a little bit more flour. After all of the flour has been added, you just want to mix the mixture for like less than 1 minute, just until everything is combined and then stop. If you overmix the butter, the cake later won't rise properly and it could turn out a little bit dense, so just mix it like until everything is combined. And then I'm gonna transfer my cake into a baking pan. Using a spatula, I'm just gonna spread the cake until everything is even in a layer, and then we are going to bake the cake at 175 Celsius for 25 to 30 minutes or until the top of the cake has turned out a little bit golden brown like this. Transfer the cake seed into a cooling rack and just gonna let the cake rest for like at least 1 hour until everything is cooled down. In the meantime, we are going to make the next step, which is a milk crumb. In a mixing bowl, I'm just gonna combine everything and then I'm gonna add in the melted butter. For this recipe, you want to mix the butter and flour until it reach like a pie consistency. Like you can touch it, but it won't like stick to your hand. And just we're gonna transfer it to a baking sheet. Break the cake into like smaller pieces to be able to make the crumb and just gonna bake it for like 20 minutes or until everything has turned a little bit like a sandy texture. At this step, you can continue mix it into smaller pieces and then I'm gonna add in some milk powder and just gonna combine everything until everything is like cover the cake. To add in an extra layer of texture, I'm just gonna melt some chocolate and gonna cover everything with a white chocolate. With this, when the cake is completely covered in chocolate, it could create a little bit crumb texture, like a little bit cake pop. It could taste so good with the cake and make the cake like feel more delicious. And of course, how can I make a carrot cake without a cream cheese frosting? In a mixing bowl, I'm gonna add in my cream cheese and then I'm gonna slowly adding in the sugar and the egg. Don't freak out when I'm adding the raw egg, because after this we are gonna bake this mixture until it's turned a little bit like a New York cheesecake style but in a liquid form. This recipe actually adopted from Christina Tosi Momofuku milk bar, and I'm so in love with this like liquid cream cheesecake texture because it feels so good and the texture is like silky smooth and the filling is very delicious. With a spoon, we are just gonna break down the texture until it feels like a bit smoother, and next we are going to make another frosting. To make this cake to be more interesting and to follow the Christina Tori instructions, we are going to make a graham cookie frosting. In a mixing bowl, I'm just gonna toss my cookie with sugar and some milk powder, and then I'm gonna add in some melted butter and some whipping cream, and then gonna combine until everything is like stick to it together. After that, we are going to put everything into a blender with some milk and just gonna blend everything until everything is become like a smooth cookie milk. The final consistency is actually a little bit dense, so you don't have to worry. In another bowl, I'm gonna beat my butter until it's turned a little bit fluffier and turn a little bit pale yellow. In the next step, we are going to add in the milk cookie mixture and just gonna combine everything until the cream has turned out a little bit smooth and like a velvet texture like this. Then we can stop. And now it is time to reassemble our cake. First, using a 5-inch round mold, I'm gonna cut my cake into 3 even layers. You can see in the video I actually can only cut 2, and I'm gonna cut like half of the pieces from the remaining cake. Next, I'm just gonna brush in some milk to make the cake to become a little bit more moist and like it won't dry out, because it is like a naked style cake. So if you leave it outside for too long, the cake will dry very quickly. So by adding the milk, we will fix that problem. After spreading the cream cheese, I'm gonna add in my milk crumb, and on top of the milk crumb I'm just gonna adding some cookie frosting. Use the back of the spoon and we are just gonna gently spreading everything until it's like become an even layer, and just gonna tuck in my second layer cake and just gonna repeat the process until everything is done. For the top layer, to make the cake look more pretty and even, we're just gonna add a little bit of cream and then gonna scrape down to the side to make an even layer. And after that, we are going to put the cake in the fridge and let it rest for at least 3 hours until everything is set down, and we can slowly remove the plastic around it and reveal the beautiful naked cake inside. If you find that some cream is attracted to the parchment plastic, you can use your finger and just like slowly press in the cream to make it more smooth. And on top of my cake, I'm just gonna decorating it with the remaining cake crumb, and it had a very rustic and beautiful charm to the cake. About this cake flavor, I'm actually prefer to eat the cake like every part in individuals, and even when combined with everything. Like I like to eat the carrot cake it by itself and the cream by itself more than when it combined together. But overall, it's a very beautiful cake, and I hope you will have a chance to make this. Now goodbye.